Shogo Mobile Armor Division sold itself on Mech Combat and an anime style to great success in 1998. Sporting new and exciting technology, a unique style, and mech combat, what could possibly go wrong? Shogo is the story of Sanjuro Makabe, a mobile combat armor pilot for the United Corporate Authority, as he is tasked with eliminating the Fallen, a radical cult that wants the planetary colony of Kronos all for themselves. As a pilot for the UCA, it's your job to stop that, but things are a bit more complicated in practice. Now, the issue with Shogo isn't the content, which there is quite a bit of, but rather the delivery. Most of the story happens before the game even starts, and instead of being given cutscenes or at least dialogues, the game presents those events as walls of text. And even when it bothers to tell some story, it just throws events at you out of nowhere. While you even have the ability to make dialogue choices during the game, their overall impact is questionable, and in the end, it all adds up to a mess of a story. Animes are typically epics where it can take an hour just for a character to walk from one place to another, yet it seems as though Monolith didn't get the memo. Maybe they did intend to create an epic and didn't have the resources, but as it is, Shogo's story is a poorly told mess. In fact, by comparison, as much flack as id Software gets for their basic stories, at least they keep things simple and clear. The big selling point of Shogo is the mech combat, and for good reason. Walking around in 100-foot tall mobile combat armor blowing up everything in sight is nothing short of awesome. There are typically enough explosions to put Michael Bay to shame in these sections, as cars, giant spider bots, and even hostile MCAs leave shockwaves upon their destructions. Explosions do massive splash damage, and as such, it's actually best to stay as far away from vehicles or enemies as possible, lest you want to become a scattered pile of limbs yourself. You will also have allied mechs to assist you in some missions, but they're more of a nuisance than anything, as by the time they'll figure out they should shoot the enemies, you will have already cleared the area, and even better, they can sometimes crowd you, which results in a quick death for both them and you. Armor and energy pickups aren't particularly plentiful, and the game compensates somewhat for that with its critical hit system. How it works is that occasionally your hits will do extra damage and recover a quarter of your health. While the system is arguably useful, someone at Monolith thought it would be a good idea for it to be applied on enemies as well. Well, wouldn't you know it, it wasn't. It's abundantly clear that the AI is simplistic at best, as the moment they spot you is the moment they open fire, but the worst part is that they'll oftentimes crit you without warning, as they suddenly pop out from behind the wall and insta-kill you. It's one thing to demand skill, and another thing entirely to have the player fire continuously before he even sees the enemy for him to have a chance of survival. And even then, you still might die. If playing like that sounds like fun to you, then by all means play Shogo at your heart's content, but if you're just a regular player, you might as well know what you're getting into. Shogo uses the first version of the Liftech engine, and thankfully the levels are reasonably sized, sufficiently populated, and the experience is smooth as butter. Explosions and particles stand out, especially since there's plenty of them. The game's sound is also excellent overall. Just note that if you want music playing in the game, you'll have to set the compatibility mode to Windows 95, for the GOG version, no less. And even better, two of the later levels, Belly of the Beast and Central Command, will simply crash unless you disable the music in the launcher menu. Shogo isn't a game that's aged badly. It's a game that was never that great to begin with. While the mech combat is still unique to this day, the story is horribly delivered and the on-foot segments are frustratingly inconsistent, especially towards the end. The inescapable technical issues seal the deal, and ultimately, while no other PC shooter is likely to give you your fill of mech combat like Shogo, those looking for something more can do a lot better.